Ba-ba-ba-ba. I don't know how much I can hum of that because it is one of those copyrighted and trademark things, but you know when you hear that, ba-ba-ba-ba, I don't even have to hum out anymore. You know what it is. So, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Dun 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 dun. Ba 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 ba. Woo. So, I will get to that in 1 second, but I want to say thank you to you who choose to tune in and listen to me go on and 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 on. Check it out to the break it on. Apparently, I received some sort of a nod and acknowledgement in the form of a virtual badge, and because I have, I think what it was over 1,000 downloads, which I know for many people does not sound like a lot, but I'm appreciative of even 5 downloads, 10 downloads, 100 downloads, tens of hundreds of thousands of downloads, all of it. I'm appreciative. So thank you very much. I earned a badge. So thank you. And yeah, I'm jazzed. And I apologize if I don't sound even more enthused, but my voice is a little bit scratchy because the lack of sleep has caught up and my body is trying to shut me down. So it is doing things to make me want to be sleepy and stay in bed and not do the long scroll of lists of things that I wanted to do for the day or for the weekend for that matter. So anyway, so my voice is a little bit scratchy. I might have to put things on pause like I just did because the talking is aggravating the scratchy throatiness of my dulcet tones. So, oh yeah. So thank you again for the downloads, and thank you for continuing to listen and check out my stuff and my silliness, my fluffiness, my rambliness, my shenanigans, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so thank you. Thanks for hanging out with me. And here we go. So it's Super Bowl Sunday today. And I did not have any idea today was Super Bowl Sunday until late Saturday night. And that's only because I received some sort of notification for something that was more music related, but they were tying it into Super Bowl, like with a theme or something. If I did not receive that notice, I would have not even known today was Super Bowl at all. That is how busy I've been and just kind of tuned out to such things. I knew Super Bowl was coming, but for whatever reason, I just thought it would be later. Like it wouldn't be today. So, yeah, I just haven't been keeping up with it. And, but now that I know and knew late yesterday that it is, it's like, woo! I don't have any leaning towards one team or another. Well, I take that back. I am leaning more so towards the team that has the tall drink of water. That is the gentleman who hails from my home or near my home. So go Buckeyes. That's the team I'm kind of leaning towards. But will I have any extra jubilation in the bounce to my step as a result of them winning or not winning? No, I will not. But that is about as close to Super Bowl enthusiasm as I'm going to get this year. If the Browns had made it a little bit further, then I would have really be a little bit more invested into the results of tonight's game. So, but it did have me thinking back on fun times, better times, like the games that would take place back home and all the tailgating parties and even going back to high school and participating in, they called it powder puff football, and I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was part of like the homecoming week of festivities. And like homecoming, wow. Okay, just letting you know, giving you advance warning, because of the scratchiness that's in my throat and my body wanting to slow me down in so many ways, I took what I like to call my deconstructed hot toddy, and I only took one portion of the deconstruction, which is the shot of whiskey. So I took that because I just couldn't be bothered with making a hot toddy and or having some other sort of concoction that involved whiskey. I just had the shot and just letting that do its magic. So I'm going to blame any flubs that I have with words or my thinking, any sluggishness at all on that. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so powder puff football, homecoming, that was usually in October. If I remember correctly, I think homecoming was always like, I don't know, it's like mid-October. I think like the second week of October. Not quite the third week, because that was always, that's too close to Halloween. So like the second week of October, like around that time, I think that's when homecoming took place. And there was like a week of things that led up to that homecoming football Friday game. And for me, it was like everything was about just doing stuff for marching band and rehearsing and preparing for that. Although I think was it like junior or senior year, or maybe it's only senior year, there was the powder puff football game, and they called it powder puff because that's when they deemed the girls able to play football during that day. And that was my one and only time participating in football. And once I did, I'm like, oh wow, I love this. This is fun. And all it was flag football. We're wearing the Velcro. Why can't I think of it? Like the Velcro belt that have like the little strips for the flags. So instead of tackling anybody, you're just grabbing that little tail that is Velcroed around your belt. And everybody gets like, 3 or maybe 4 of them. And then once all those are gone, you're out of the game. So I don't know. I kind of like that. It was fun. It's fun for me, because who really wants to be tackled down to the ground? And not in that fun way. The fun way is kind of fine. Although it's even better with wrestlers. So, story for another time. I digress. So, let's see. Super Bowl parties. I remember the Super Bowl parties were fun back home, but what's sticking out are like rooftop parties that I remember having on top of the CSU Theater Arts Building, which I probably shouldn't be talking about, but I think they have since knocked down that building or given it away to the local worldwide known hospital that probably slowly ate up the rest of the campus. But I just remember like there was like a small group of us that like had like a little rooftop barbecue thing going on at the Theater Arts Building, and that was fun. And just having the occasional beers up there, and what else? Yeah, just barbecuing in the wintertime. And as far as like Super Bowl, my more recent memories of Super Bowl are in LA and just hanging out with this group of guys that I used to hang out with in Glendale, and but more recently, another buddy of mine would have pool parties in his apartment complex, and he got along well enough with everybody that lived in that complex that it kind of became like most of it were all of his friends, but he extended that invite to other people that live in the building, and which, of course, that olive branch is always welcome, and the neighbors don't complain nearly as much whenever, the guests are loud, but that was always fun. It's like you had, like, the space of the pool, and then his apartment, along with the outer side, which I think he ended up commandeering common space to grow, to have, like, these, like, little mini gardens, and which I thought that was kind of cute and fun, because it instilled a sense of community, and I like that, and I wasn't able to have it in the space where I lived, so I always welcomed being a part of those parties, and I kind of miss them, but things change and time moves on. Not that anything bad happened, it's just, people move, and anyway, sadness over. This week, it was busy. It was slow, but busy enough where I didn't have time to delve into much fun stuff at all. I could barely get my laundry done, let alone anything fun. So I guess my fun came in the form of just whatever random wacky conversations happened to unfold because people would stop by and want to chat. So, which I don't mind. It kind of breaks up the day. And I guess if people want to stop by and chat, you can't be all that bad or boring of a person. So I guess it lets me know I'm not boring, nor am I a terrible person. Because, I don't know if people who want to stop and talk to people who are terrible or bad in any way. I mean, unless it's like some sort of a discussion to try to root out, like, what is the problem? But, let's see, what else? The only fun stuff is just discovering and researching some products I want to check out, which I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. I'm still in my researching phase, even though they are, like, beauty products or, just feminine things, like bras. See, my life has been boring lately because I'm talking about bras and beauty products. So, I don't know. And also, I'm researching this stuff because I want to read up more about the actual science. And really, even if actual science or chemistry is involved for a product, I do wonder, like, how much of it is psychological. Like, whether the science of it works or not, whether the chemical properties of this, if it's something that you're to ingest or apply to your skin, even if it's makeup or perfume, whatever. Like, if those things are true and they do work, or supposedly is, like, through all the testing, really, what percentage of that is psychological? Because if you believe something is going to work, I feel like that kind of bumps up or enhances the effectiveness of that product. Like, if it does already work, let's just say 80% to 90% this thing works, does it get bumped up to 90 or 100% because of your belief in that thing working? I don't know, it's something I was just thinking about. And as for bras, though, well, that's okay. That can also be psychological. That's more physical. So it's not a chemical reaction, but a physical reaction. Whether that is for the individual wearing it or anybody who is admiring said bra. Anyway, so yeah, that's been, I guess, a highlight of my week is stumbling across those things. Let's see. But on the little bit of downtime I would have in order to unwind before trying to get a little bit of sleep, I've been catching up on some more Drag Race reviews and recaps and some of those the shows that are hosted by past Drag Race contestants. One that I stumbled across are these two guys, and I believe it's called, their YouTube channel is called Shenanigans, and they remind me so much I didn't realize it until I watched, I think I was like halfway through this particular episode. And actually the episode is, if anybody out there is actually following along with the current drag race that's going on, it's season 13, which is the current season right now, episode 5. And specifically it is for the Untucked, which Untucked is all the what they air in this separate room of the studio where they film Drag Race. And it's what happens between all the queens that are competing in this lounge area. And I think it happens when they are deliberating, and not so much the lip syncing, because everybody's out on stage for lip syncing, but it's when the judges are deliberating their decision on, who's in the bottom, who's gonna, who's competing against whom for the lip sync. And this one, it was all kinds of spicy, like real spicy. And I mean, enough that it had any fan of Drag Race, or really any fan of just watching competition reality TV, just kind of like clapping their hands together and just rubbing with that malicious glee. So it was just like, this is juicy. Like, let me go get my popcorn and other snacks and sit and watch this. So, I don't like conflict per se, and especially conflict if it really genuinely hurts somebody. But this particular conflict is more of like this, hey, you know what, you said this or did this, I don't like it. Well, blah, 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 and, fingers get wagging and necks get working and things get blown out of proportion. I was like, ooh, all right. I don't know if anybody, unless you just don't have a heart or a soul, anybody that wouldn't stop and at least look and see, like, oh, what's going on? Yeah, that just, whew. But anyway, so I wanted to just see what I could from this particular episode, because I don't have cable, I don't have TV, so I'm very limited into what I can watch, and I don't want to go through spending the money for streaming services and have that commitment. I have commitment issues. So I did my rooting around, and these two guys, again, their YouTube channel, I believe it's called Shenanigans. And these two guys totally reminded me of this particular sketch that was done in Living Color. And it's not Living Color, like the band, the rock band Living Color, but this is In Living Color, which is the sketch comedy show. And I think it aired on Fox. I think that's right. And it's a show that spanned a lot of careers, and first and foremost the Wayans family, but other people too, Jim Carrey, there's some others, and I can't remember. J-Lo also came from there. Yeah, and so J-Lo was dancing on that, and her career started there and then kind of snowballed after that, even though she doesn't sing all of her own songs, but that's another story. So, let's see, what else did I catch? Oh, so these two guys, there was just something about them. It's not that they were being, like, overtly funny or catty or none of that, but they were just cute. They were just cute and just kind of relaxing to watch. And they weren't being flamboyant or anything, but I don't know, I kind of like them. So yeah, if you're a fan of Drag Race, and if you have been following along with this season's episodes, definitely check out their reaction. I like their opinion. They're just cute. You just kind of want to give them a hug. And yeah, I like them. So what else? Recently started getting into Monet Exchange talk show, which was part of the Build series. And I like Monet Exchange. I like Monet Exchange and the rapport that Monet has with Bob the Drag Queen. I love those two. They are smart. They're funny. They just have great content. And I notice that whenever they are on a show, whether it's their own their own podcast, interviewing other people interviewing them filling in for other hosts. It's always a good show. It's a good reaction. They interact well with whomever they are paired up with. It's a really, really good, like, I would say TV watching, but I guess internet watching? Clip watching? What's the other one? So Monet Exchange, watching that talk show, and even in quarantine, it's still good. I should say the quarantine shows are good. But I started off with the shows that were on the Build stage, which if you've watched any of the Build shows, but Monet Exchange's show in particular, it totally reminds me of, that show that was on MTV, Total Request Live, the one that that guy hosted. Carson Daly, the one that he hosted, where you see like New York City outside and people like with their signs and just that vibe, because Monet Exchange has there's color, there's laughter, it's just interesting. It has more of a Total Request Live feel to it, as opposed to the Build interviews that they do on that set. It's whenever they're doing interviews, it's just one person interviewing another person or a group of people, and the people in the audience, and it doesn't have like color and life and things happening and fingers snapping and whatever. So, but yeah, with Monet Exchange show, there's music, movement, laughter, drinks, glitter. It's all happening. Another thing I came across. It's the clip that I saw, it was Dr. Ross just has to take home a Rottweiler pup. And I think it was either the title or the thumbnail or both. And I'm like, oh, it's a cute little puppers. It's a Rottweiler puppy. Oh, and I just had to check it out. And it is, apparently, there's a show that's on Animal Planet called The Vet Life. I'm not aware of it, but it's there. I have no idea if it's still on TV or not, or if this is like an old episode and they're just now showing past clips from that show. But it was cute, and this particular clip followed this vet who was giving shots to the a litter of puppies that this couple wanted to take care of. Actually, they were going to put them up for adoption, but the puppies needed to have their shots, and this was the first chance that the puppies were, I guess they had in order to get their shots. And they were just so cute, and I felt so bad because nobody likes shots, and the puppies don't know what's going on. They just know that they're being pricked with something, and they were being pricked with this with a needle, but they would still lick the face of this vet. And I was just like, oh, it's just heartwarming, and it just, it gives you that little pang in your heart. Like, even though they're in pain, they still want to give love, and it's like, oh, puppers. And I also grew up with Rottweilers, and I miss all of the doggies that I had, and they're little cute little puppers. So yeah, it's a cute little clip. And then from that, not that day, but days later, because somebody sent me something on Instagram, I somehow inadvertently got on somebody's page that had a bunch of Rottweilers and certain specific Rottweiler puppies, and there was one Instagram photo that I liked, and I commented on because it kind of reminded me of an Instagram photo that I put up, and it was like a Rottweiler that was just kind of like closing its eyes and basking in the sun. And it's like, wait a minute, I had a post similar to that last month, and it's one of me with hanging out with in the sun and posing with gifts that I was given for Christmas. So I don't know, I just puppers, cute. There's another video that I was researching something else. I don't even know how I landed on it, but I did. It's called Dad's Weird Noise Makes Baby Laugh. And it was posted by Daily Picks and Flicks. So Daily Picks, like Picks, not like a Pix or like Pix, which that would be Pixie, like Pixie Sticks, I guess. And Flicks, like a film, Flicks. It is just like, it's 44 seconds, so it's not very long, but it's 44 seconds of pure joy. And the babies laugh. It's so hard. You can't help but smiling or laughing yourself. And anybody that doesn't like that, they are just a Grinch and don't have a heart. That's all I gotta say to that. When you watch this video, you'll see what I mean. Another one, and this was through a suggestion of somebody else that made the suggestion on a video clip I saw. It's Billy Porter doing his rendition of Beauty School Dropout, which I'm assuming he was in the Broadway revival of Grease. I don't know how many revivals they've done of Grease, but this one, by appearances, because it looked like they did a performance on Jay Leno's show, so this could have been, I think, in the 90s? Just going by the footage and how it looked, I think. So definitely check that out. If you're a fan of musical theater or Billy Porter or Grease, check it out. So just do a Google search for Billy Porter Beauty School Dropout, and you'll automatically come up with a link, if not a bunch of links. I know I mentioned this last week, but another clip, if you want to make yourself laugh, it's Dog Sleep Farting Makes Cat Angry, and that was posted by the Paw. I had to wet the whistle a little bit. What else was I... Oh, this is something that's very simple, but... So, there was one day when I saw this guy swap out a very, very pretty orchid that had been in this corner that I had been looking at during the week. And I was sad to see him take it away because it's so pretty. And it just, like, matched with the aesthetic of the wall where it was located. And so he took it away, and I was like, oh. And he replaced it with a different potted orchid. And it was alright, but it's like, it wasn't like the other one. And so I found out that it's a particular company that'll come by and I guess do that. And which I know that is probably not a new thing, but I just didn't think of it. Like, I know that there are landscaping companies and gardeners and garden centers where you can get your own plants. You can go to a bunch of different stores and get plants and flowers that are already potted. But I guess I just didn't even think, like, oh, there's a company that would take care of providing plants to not just a residence, but like an office space. And it's such a simple idea, but I was just like blown away by that concept. And I thought that was pretty cool. And it's like, well, I guess if you have that extra money to do that, then yeah. And they would just come in and they would care for whatever plant you have. And whenever it needed to be tended to, they do that. And because it's an orchid, like, orchids don't last forever, and they really do need more of a specialized tending to. I tried it, and I'm not quite successful. And whether that is my particular living space, or it didn't get adequate sunlight, I didn't have it in the right space, maybe I didn't water enough, watered it too much, I don't know. But me and plants have just not quite gelled. We haven't gotten our vibe. I do have one plant that has stayed with me through many years. And actually, this particular plant that I have was going to be thrown out by a boss I had of a different job. Because I don't know. I don't know why he was going to throw it out. I think, because it wasn't getting... It was kind of dying in the office. It wasn't getting something. I don't know what it was. And he was going to throw it out. I'm like, no, don't throw it out. Just don't do that because it's a plant. Like, I don't know. So I took the plant home with me, and he named the plant Fred. I don't know if the plant, it's quite a Fred. I mean, every once in a while, Fred's name pops up. It's like, I don't know. But, yeah, the plant has stayed with me, and through thick and thin, even during times when I forgot to water properly, or I overwatered, or replanted, and maybe I shouldn't have, and not giving it enough sunlight, but it still stayed with me. So, and for that, I am truly grateful and thankful. What else did I want to talk about? Ooh, I saw this article, and you'll find it on CNN. Hold on a second. Sorry, I didn't want to have to clear my throat loudly while I'm recording. It was on CNN, and basically, and the title reads as such, and I guess I really don't need to do much explanation beyond this, but it says Mardi Gras parades were canceled due to, obviously, the pandemic. So people in New Orleans, they turned their houses into floats, and that's exactly what they did. And the article was very cool to read, and I think it was this woman that, I don't know, she threw out just a throwaway comment on Twitter, and then people kind of latched onto it. I don't know how it happened. It just kind of morphed into that. And I think it started with this idea, this concept, and then before you know it, more people decided to, like, I think she turned it into a thing, like more of a neighborhood, like an organized neighborhood event, and more people latched onto it. And not only was it people in New Orleans, but people in other countries, like I think over in the United Emirates, maybe in London, I think. Excuse me. Oh, I'm so sorry for clearing my throat in the ears of unsuspecting people. My apologies. So it wasn't like just limited to New Orleans, and I don't know if these are transplants, or expats that are in these other countries, and maybe that's why they're like, yeah, we're going to turn our house into a Mardi Gras float. But in New Orleans, there's like, I think over 3,000 homes that are on this particular map of homes to go and visit, so you can just participate in Mardi Gras in some way. So instead of having a parade, they're turning their houses, their front porches, their front lawns into floats. And it, from what I read, and then there's also a short video that went along with it, to me, it kind of gave me that spirit of places out here that actually, so for Halloween, and I've been trying to turn other friends on to this, but I don't know if they took my information and they actually participated by attending or what, but there's this, it's called, what is it, Halloween Haunt? Hold on. Or something along those lines, but basically, I discovered this from another friend inviting me to check out this home that's close to where I live that just went all out with the Hollywood display. Well, I think they did something in Hollywood, but it has like that Hollywood spectacular, but for Halloween. And enough so where there was a food truck and like the stand that sold hot cocoa and coffee to people because they drew crowds, and they actually had timed, what is it called? Like a timed display, it was a timed show. So they would have a show like every 10 or every 20 minutes, and it was full out. Like it was a whole storyline where you'd start off at one end where they would have part of the story told like in front of their house, and then you'd move down to the next section where they would tell the rest of the story in the rest of the yard. And this is all like on a street. They even blocked off the whole street. So, and the neighbors knew about this, and the neighbors had access through a different way, so it's not like they were prevented from going in or out of their own homes. But they wisely blocked off like the main route to get to the homes, to get to the homes, like for like the general public. And they would, it was just very, very cool. So not only was their home on it, but there was like specific places throughout LA that would participate in this. And and I was able to get my hands on this list where homes were broken up into, it's either a paid attraction, going to Hollywood, or, Hollywood Studio, Universal Studios. Sorry, I can't even keep these places straight. Going to Universal Studios, that would have their, Hollywood Horror Nights, something like that. Or going to Disney, that would have their Halloween haunted theme, whatever, going on. But, so they would have those paid attractions, they would have yard displays, they would have walkthroughs, and I think there was another category, but I can't remember what it was. And the walkthroughs were cool. There's one in Burbank that I don't know how they did it, but they turned their place into a haunted house. And again, that would draw crowds. Like, people are lined down the street and around blocks in order to go into this space. And it was just cool. It was, dare I say, even better than the amount of money that they charge at Universal. But you're still getting the same scares, but it's like people turn their home into the haunted house, and it was well worth the donated money to spend on it, so they could do it every year. So anyway, and then at Christmas, there's an area also near where I live where it is pretty much you can drive around and check out all the displays, or you can walk and check out certain sections. But it just felt like this particular area, it is a huge expanse of side roads off of a main road to check out these incredibly cool Christmas displays. And these are primarily yard displays, some more extravagant than others. And there's one that even has Santa there and a huge choo-choo train or a huge sleigh. Just plenty of photo opportunities. And I thought about putting those up this past Christmas, and I think I put up a couple, but maybe I'll save those for next year. Yeah. Anyway, what was I talking about? Mardi Gras. So these Mardi Gras displays, that's exactly what I was thinking of when they mentioned that people were turning their homes into floats. Saying as how, the Mardi Gras parade was canceled. And looking at some of the displays, that's exactly what it was. Some people would have their displays lit up at night, or some would look better just in the daytime. But the amount of work that people put into it is just as fierce as a float. And I love that the city of New Orleans is doing that, because that town, the one and only time I've been there, it was very, 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 very cool. And I think I might save that conversation for next week's podcast, because, is Fat Tuesday this week? Next week? Huh. I'll save it for next week, because it'll, I don't know. When it comes to Ash Wednesday, I always think Ash Wednesday is glum, just bleh. So, I'll save it for next week. Let's see, I just need to remember to talk about it next week. What else did I come across? There was an article I saw, it's about, is there life after death? And this, apparently this, billion gazillionaire is putting up $1 million for, I don't know if it's an essay to research this phenomenon, or if he's giving $1 million away to help them research it. I can't remember what it's for. It's either $1 million just for the essay to explain how they would research it, or it's $1 million, or they have to submit an essay in order to win the $1 million in order for them to research this particular subject. And the guy that is the gazillionaire kind of reminds me of well, I mean, the subject matter itself, and then the guy, in a way, when I was reading the article, it reminded me of that guy from Contact. And I don't know if you saw that movie, Contact, with Jodie Foster. If you haven't, I don't want to ruin the movie by talking about it, but just do yourself the service and watch the movie Contact. I remember watching it the very first time, just being like, wow. And I think I saw it, I can't remember how much time had passed, but I remember, like, watching, I don't think I saw it, like, when it first came out, or did I? No? Yeah? No? Yeah, anyway, regardless, I remember, like, seeing it after, no, I didn't see it when it came out, I saw it, like, after a while, and, I remember seeing it after a while, and then I watched it and I liked it, and then I watched it, like, a while after that, and I was like, oh, you know what, I still like this movie, and there's just something about it. I'm sure there have been essays that have been done about the movie, but there's just something about it, or some things about it that I really like. And so I won't talk any more about that, but just this particular article and the gentleman that's in it reminded me of that movie. And actually, thinking on it now, I'm wondering if this guy is who they based some things or people off of in the movie. Speaking of alien talk, well, see, I don't know. I actually could get into transgender talk and opinions on that, or alien talk. Let's see. I don't know. Getting into transgender talk, that might be a bit of a minefield. Not too sure, but that's just something that's kind of popped up several times this week, and it wasn't like me just reading about it. It's like other people bringing it up into conversation and as things to discuss. And it's more than one person was bringing up the topic of transgender issues, and then also more than one person was bringing up talk of aliens. And the people that were bringing up these talks, that, you know, again, these are just, well, not again, because I didn't even say anything about it, but they are people with professions that are considered in high regard. So it's not like I just happen to be at a corporate coffee shop waiting for a beverage and some random wackadoo decided to bring up topics of conversation. And even if that person were, I guess, a quote-unquote wackadoo, I would still value that conversation, because I have had those instances happen to me where I'm talking with a person that potentially other people would easily dismiss, but I found the conversation quite riveting and engaging and enjoyable, and I thank them for their time. So, let's see. Alright, I'll bring up the transgender talk, and just an overall, what anybody decides to do with their own body, as long as it doesn't bring harm to themselves or to other people, it's like, you know, do what you will. People may or may not like it or approve of it, or may have something to say, but again, that's your decision. That being said, I feel that like surgically altering your body, and maybe this will come out as me being a prude or conservative, and I know I did some wild and crazy things as a kid. Not wild and crazy compared to most, but I don't want to say I was able to live a life of adventure, but adventure kind of came my way, and adventure happened, and occasionally I would seek adventure. So, but something that would surgically alter one's body, in my opinion, I feel that should happen when the person that wants to have this surgical procedure done, it should happen when they are able to afford it. When they have the right frame of mind and reference and life experiences have been have I don't want to say I've molded them, but they've lived some life, and were able to do the research and have the proper knowledge behind things in order to make a very informed and researched decision. Now, different parties may not like it, but again, the person that wants to do this alteration, again, they are able to financially go about this procedure on their own merit, by themselves. Not from a trust fund, not from an inheritance. Like, they have a job where they earn money and they can pay for it. And I say that because the brains of children, they are still developing. Now, one of the people I had, I can't remember if they brought the topic up or it just somehow came up from something else, but they have a kind of a religious, I don't know if they're religious, if their background is like pure religious, but they have very religious beliefs. And so I understand when some people have, they're quite firm in their faith, that they might be opposed to some ideals more than others. So I understood where they might not agree with that, and I don't know if they expected me to just readily agree with them. And I happen to sort of agree with them, but not for the reasons that they expected or that aligned with them. And my belief in that is that the brains of children, they are developing up until, I think it's like 24, 25, somewhere around there is when the bones stop growing and the brain is for the most part developed. And actually, I don't know if it's like 25 or is it 30 or is it 25 for girls and like closer to 30 for guys. And no, I'm not saying that as a dig towards men at all, but come on, men just mature later than women. And that I'm basing that just off of what I've read in science from years back. So, and life. Sorry, just my experiences. But jokes aside, so I understand if kids might feel a certain way, but I guess I would just caution them to wait on that until, and I can be understanding of it, but again, just to wait on that until a certain age. And again, just closer to an age where they have gone out, they've lived life, they have their own job, they have their means to support themselves, and also pay for having the surgical procedure done, and they had a chance to really think about it and make an informed decision. But to do this while their bodies inside and out are still developing, it's like, ugh. And also, I don't know, think about when you were a teenager and a kid. Some of the things that you thought were, oh, this was great, did that same thing or idea or ideal hold true till now, wherever you are in your life? Think about how you thought and acted and the things that you enjoyed or loved or couldn't live without or else you'd die when you were in grade school, middle school, junior high, high school, college. Did that, I don't know, did those remain the same? And if they did, then, hey, great, more power to you. There's some people where some things don't change from birth until they're fully formed adults. But something like that, it just, because you can't take it back. Even like with a tattoo. Yeah, you can have a tattoo removed, but there's still going to be some weird scarring, unless they've made advancements in that I'm not aware of. If they have, let me know. Not that I have any regrets about that. I just want to know, have they developed that technology in a way that does not show a tattoo removal at all whatsoever? there was something else I was going to say about that. Oh, so I also wondered, I think I brought this up in a conversation I had with somebody else over the summer, I think. I think I was reading an article about something, and I don't know if it was about people who are homophobic and who were just lashing out, and it was something along those lines. I'm just thinking, oh, those people were just really stupid. Like, why waste your time on that kind of hate? It makes no sense. But what was my thought? Oh, so I wondered, and this goes back to kinda on how, getting things like vitamins and certain foods and all that other stuff, like how much of that works because of the chemical reaction or the science behind it, or how much of it is psychological in our heads. And because we believe it works. I wonder if let's see, and I don't know if this thought came about, like, for anybody who has a love for the same sex or is curious about it, but and also for anybody who's thinking of physically, surgically changing their sex. I wonder if they would even consider the avenue of a same-sex relationship or interest or surgical enhancement. Sorry, I'm not pausing because I'm timid about what to say. I'm just trying to make sure I word this correctly. And it's not about me offending anybody. I just want to make sure that I'm remembering my thought about this properly. So if, like, you know how, like, in grade school, somebody picks on you, or, like, there's, like, the preppy kids, and, like, the jocks and the preppy kids, and you got your cheerleaders and football players, and, they're the chosen ones, and they're the ones that are prom king and queen, and, you got all your different groups of people who are in school, whether that be all throughout grade school, all through high school, what have you. And I don't know if things have changed where those lines are way more blurred and people don't care about that stuff as much. From my interaction with kids, it seems like that's not as much of a thing as it used to be. But anyway, I wonder if kids would not be as quick to consider and I'm only basing this off of an article that I read today that made me think of this conversation. For young kids who are transgender, like young, like not even teenager yet, if they would even consider that route or go that route if they weren't severely bullied at school. And either severely bullied at school, or had some sort of either mental, physical, emotional abuse at home, whether that be from parents, siblings, relatives, or, supposed friends, and I'm not talking about the basic teasing that any and every kid gets in, or the whatever bullying happens at school, because I feel like everybody goes through something at school, and somebody gets teased or made fun of for something, and I'm using the light form of bullied, not excusing it, not saying that bullying is cool, but some of that opposition to, from whatever power that be, kind of helps build a backbone. There's a certain degree of it that I think is kind of healthy, because it allows the child to gain confidence and stand up for themselves, speak up for themselves, and be able to fight back. And I say fight back not physically with fists or anything, or in some cases maybe it does, but again, not that severe like bullying and threats where they don't want to go to school, or they want to do away with themselves and consider and contemplate suicide. I'm not talking about that severe bullying like that, but just that, you know, that kind of like that bullying that's more like busting of balls, you know. Again, a certain degree of that I think is kind of healthy, because it helps to, there's a word I'm looking for and I can't escape it, or a phrase. It's not normalize, it's not that, it's to like foster a good sense of self or awareness, or I don't know, it's something along those lines. I know I'm not thinking of it, and I'm probably just messing this whole thing up, and I don't know. I have no idea if you know where I'm coming from or what I'm talking about, but again, I just wonder if there would be so many cases of people maybe later in life, like finally coming out after feeling like they were, like they couldn't come out any earlier just because of, you know, the norms in society or how they grew up. And I wonder if, not to say that like a person would not have an affection for the same sex later in life, but I just wonder if like the repression wouldn't be as severe or deep, or there would be any repression at all if they were just allowed to, for example, let's say that a kid wasn't hugged at all by their parents while they were growing up. I wonder if that action itself is what led them to maybe become a lesbian later in life, maybe to become a drag queen. I'm not saying that anything is negative about being a lesbian, a gay man, a drag queen, transgender, none of that. I'm just trying to provide an example. Let's see. I was rambling about this, and I feel like I'm probably sticking my foot in my mouth, but you know what? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going just for another minute longer, and then I'll get to some other stuff. Don't worry. Or, you know what? You can always speed through and just skip ahead like a few seconds and see if I'm still rambling about this. So, if a kid wasn't hugged, would they either become gay later on, like eventually, like, you know, maybe in their teen years, or maybe they would do their best to live life as a straight male and go through the motions of meeting another woman, getting married, getting that female pregnant, having kids, the house, the white picket fence, all that other stuff, only to eventually divorce or separate, and then in his, I don't know, 60s or 70s decide that that's when he's going to come out of the closet. And it's all because he didn't get hugged as a kid by his parents. So if he had been hugged by his parents, like, he still eventually could have, like, maybe he would be gay, but he wouldn't go through, like, the charade of marrying a woman, getting her pregnant, having kids, the house, the mortgage, and all that other stuff, and then wait until much later in life to live his truth. That if he was hugged as a kid, he would live his truth maybe in his 20s, maybe when he was in college, maybe in his 30s. And he wouldn't have denied himself that happiness until much later in life. That's what I'm trying to get at in my own long-winded way. So, yeah, or, you know, maybe if, so the kid could be loved at home, but maybe severely bullied at school. So that girl maybe went through some crazy, abusive, creepy, rapey things from boys at school. And maybe that led to, and maybe she did say something, but nobody believed her. Or maybe she did say something, nobody believed her, and the actions kept happening, which, fast forward, maybe that led to this young woman deciding to go through a surgical procedure so she could become a man. And maybe that stemmed from the hurt and feeling defensiveless from her not getting the support that she should have gotten when she was done wrong. So, I don't know. I just wonder that sometimes. And, oftentimes, maybe that's not even the case. I just wonder if there were things in their early childhood development that triggered certain thoughts or actions, or feelings. And I'm not saying that any of these things are wrong. I just wonder about, I don't know, it's all that nature versus nurture. I know some people argue that you're born this way or not, but I don't know. And I know that none of us are perfect. I'm not even saying whether you are gay, you're lesbian, trans, straight, any of that is wrong. It's how you feel and how you feel like rolling at the moment. And I just wondered if kids grow up in a somewhat normal household, how would they turn out? And maybe those examples are out there, but even for those people that in my mind I'm thinking, hey, they're normal, they had a great childhood, a great family, all that, and you talk to them and you get a chance to know them more, and it's like you find out there's a lot of dysfunction in their family. And I don't know, are all families dysfunctional? I mean, is that just inevitable? Alright, well, let's move on to other things. So, the other coincidental talks that came up, and again, it's by more than just one party, and again, more than just, it's not from some random, wacky person that I encountered along the street. These are people with reputable careers in society, or what society considers reputable careers, bringing up talk of aliens. And, I don't know, just hearing more and more talk of that lately. And, I don't know. I am thinking that there's that potential of it being there, or not it, but aliens being out there. My own belief is whether they are, I guess, aliens from some other planet, or potentially humans that are evolved and so long into the future. And I have my reasoning for thinking that based off of, working on art projects actually with kids. And maybe I'll get into that next week too, because I feel like I've just been rambling on for way too long. So alien talk and transgender talk, that has been popping up this week, and not from me bringing it up, just from other people, and just, that's the kind of talking that people have been doing with me this week, and I don't know what it is about me that brought that out. I don't know, but it happened. I'm more than happy to talk about sparkles, and popcorn, and rainbows, and cotton candy, so maybe I'll make people talk about that next week. We'll see. What else did I want to... There was something I wanted to talk about. As far as music is concerned, I'm listening to more of the same, although still listening to more and more folk music. And there were a couple other groups that I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember what they are. But one that stuck out, there's a song that I heard. It's called What's Up That Counts by The Counts. And I bring up this song because it is like over 7 minutes of groove and funk that I just like. And I feel like, I thought it was a new song when I heard it, and I was like, oh, okay, I like this. And I was just like letting it play and going about what I was doing. I think I was reading a fluffy book or something. And when I say fluffy book, it's one of those like romantical whatever, or like something with a plucky heroine. So I was listening to it, and then when it got to the hook, like I knew what the hook was. and I was able to go, ba-ba, 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 you know, like whatever it was. I can't remember what the rhythm was, but it was like a different, unusual rhythm. It wasn't common at all. Not like, you know, like you like in, in blues music, you can tell, like when the key change is coming, you can tell, like the downbeat is coming, or if you're listening to techno music, like the drop, you know, when the drop is coming. So I knew what was coming with this hook. And that kind of took me out of whatever it was I was doing, and I actually listened to the song. And I couldn't figure out, like, how do I know this song? And I still don't. Like, even, like, before I started recording the podcast, I was trying to figure it out. And it stumps me. And, you know, much like with people, there's people that I've met, and I can recognize their face, and, like, I know we've met before. I might not remember their name, but I have a rough idea of, like, oh, yeah, we met at this party. Although, I don't know, there's been some people that say they recognize me, or I look familiar, and I don't know, I don't recognize them at all. Or maybe they're doing that thing of, like, oh, all you people look alike. You know, I have no idea. But this particular song, yeah, I can't remember, like, where I heard this song. Like, I don't know what I was doing for this song. I don't know if I heard it in a movie, or somebody else referred it, or maybe I heard it on the radio and some other, like, random, like, radio hour or something, but I know it. I know the song. And I don't know, it's like architecture. Like, oh, like there's this house that the architect that designed my family home also, like, there's a family that also moved into the area, and they liked the design of our home, or they visited our place or something. They're like, oh yeah, well, who's the architect who did that? Like, we like your home. So the same architect designed their home, and I remember I went there because after that original family moved out, a different family moved in and went to the same school, and I became friends with the kids that lived in that home. And I remember going over there and being inside their home and just sort of like subconsciously knowing where, like, light switches were and knowing my way around. And I couldn't figure out why, because it didn't look like our home, but there was something that was extremely similar in the architecture of the place, and I just knew it. And it was kind of weird, because it's like, oh yeah, because I was able to go in a room or rooms I've never ever been in before, but flicking on switches and not losing my way or stumbling over anything. It was kind of trippy. So, let's see, anything else that I wanted to cover? I felt like there was something else. You know, maybe there's not. Maybe I'm just done rambling for right now. I felt like there was something else that, it'll come to me. Well, you know what? I'm just going to end this here, because I feel that you have suffered long enough. And, so there's a couple of different stories I needed to remember to share. What was it? One, was it about aliens or something? No, it wasn't about aliens. Maybe it was. No, New Orleans. So I'll share my New Orleans tale with you for next week. And with that, I hope you enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday, and go Buckeyes. Enjoy your golden hour. Thank you so much for hanging out. Bye.